If the chief purpose of issuing books is filled a long-felt need, and it is, then a new Demindology is centuries overdue. The last notable work in the field was written by King James I of England, who ruled during the first quarter of the 17th century. Our present century, the 20th, has been seen that royal authors' other chief's work, the Bible, replaced time and again. Clearly, the companion's volume is well due for revision, updating, and new packaging all around. With most of today's commerce and industry based securely on planned obsolescence, it is a shame not to take advantage of one of the few authentic examples of natural, unplanned obsolescence still available. It may be objected, with a show of reason, that to do so is to call unnecessary and undesirable attention to an article of antique manufacture that has somehow lasted 300 years and more. Such attention, it may be thought, will inescapably cast aspersion on our own motor cars and washing machines, which, like the mayfly, live for an afternoon and are gone, shot as the technical term of technology has it. The fear is groundless. While the pioneers of obsolescence rarely realize it, most citizens still recall, or at least have heard about, the old days when things wore out by themselves, though through use or the passing of time, the days before the ingenious artisan learned to build the end of things into their beginning. The unavoidable reminder, therefore, that King James' book of Demindology has lasted so long will shock no one. Its speedy replacement, on the other hand, will remove one possible cause for shock on the part of generations still unborn. And it can, and very shortly will, be easily shown that the good king's work is now utterly obsolete, so much so that it might have been fashioned by a latter hand. The wary should go also consider that in the very nature of things, and in Demindology, compiled today will necessarily have an obsolescence built in, leading to revisions, supplements, and new additions at much more edifying intervals than have been the case with the King James Version. The revival of science of the Demindology will be of the greatest benefit to all parts of the social body, but any beneficial program for all of society has to begin somewhere, and let the benefit spread out from that beginning. The demindological renaissance, at the dawn of which we stand, will shed its first life-giving rays on the community of the American scholarship. This is entirely fitting and proper, for there is an old connection between scholarship and demindology. The theory and practice of demindology were once the most glowing ornament and useful function of scholarship. There is scarcely a European university of any distinction at all that has, or that at all, that was not called upon to assist and initiate the discerning of deminded. Here in America, our academic establishment is younger, but even here we once enjoyed the security of knowing our most venerable university to be the intellectual home of our most venerated demindologists. It is so no longer, but it shall be so again. For it is true that modern demindology needs all the resources of modern scholarship to explore and codify the rich profusion of material that has grown up like the gardens gone to seed since the last job was done. It is even truer that scholarship is in need of demindology. There is a crisis in education. No one any longer attempts to deny this, but there is a considerable confusion as to the nature of the crisis. Some say it has arisen from the lack of federal funds being spent on the schools. Some say it has arisen from the threat of federal funds being spent on the schools. Some say it has arisen from the new customs of consolidated schools, with the resulting increase of the buses all on the road at the same time the taxpayers are trying to get to work or earn money to pay for the schools. The truth is that all these troubles are merely symptoms, surface manifestations of the true crisis in education. The real crisis is essentially only one of overpopulation, the most popular form of crisis today. Needless to say, the academic overpopulation problem is not so much a matter of seats in the kindergarten as it is of the chairs in the graduate school. The truth is we have been brought to the edge of ruin, academically speaking, by our own very enthusiasm for learning. As follows, the goal of universal literacy in American education was a noble experiment. The trouble arose from the fact that the experiment was a success. The universal literacy has been achieved, and the powerful emotional force behind the movement sweeps even closer to a goal completely unforeseen when the movement started to move, namely, universal graduate studies. Now, universal graduate work, as it is called, is quite different from universal literacy. Universal literacy produces millions of readers capable of reading, among them everything readable and much that is not, from the racing form and the market report to the most abstract prose of science and the most concrete prose of literature. Universal graduate work knows no variety. Those who cannot do teach, but what they teach chiefly is to teach. In the coming age of the intellect, the great masses of graduate students will learn very little beyond the technique of being a graduate student, for these are and always have been regarded as ends in themselves. The proper subject of study is study. Just so. But the trouble is that the educational wilderness has long been explored, exploited even. The frontiers settled, cities erected, and moved out into the suburbs.